Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Jagdeep Ahluwalia. I'm the founding secretary of the Indo-American Chamber of Commerce, a 21-year-old organization, which I currently serve as executive director. We are privileged to be serving the community for these last 21 years. The Chamber was started in 1999 by a group of local businessmen, initially to focus on exports to India and imports from India. The theme was local job creation by leveraging the India advantage. But as the Chamber grew, we kept changing to meet the changing demands of the community. We moved from purely an export-import organization to helping the local community understand how to ask for and obtain an SBA guaranteed loan, how to do business with the city, state, and other agencies. So over the years, the Chamber has evolved. I invite you to visit iaccgh.com and go through the different tabs to understand what the Chamber is all about. In that theme, today, we are responding to these very uncertain and unusual circumstances by continuing to serve the community by creating a series of webinars to focus on issues that need to be addressed. Last week, thanks to the sponsorship of the Littler law firm, we had one of the shareholders, Nehal Anand, make an excellent presentation on employment law under the current circumstances and how it affects employers in how they handle the situation. Today, we are privileged to be presenting this seminar on the EID loan program, which is being sponsored by and presented by Wallace State Bank, and Nasser Khan will be making the presentation. Bhavna, can you switch to the first slide, please?
New messages. Okay, you're on the slide.
The first slide, please.
Call me back. Answer off. Answer.
Can you? Today's presentation, as I said, will be focusing on the EID loan program. There are other programs that are being rolled out by the government. There is the Paycheck Protection Plan and the SBA Debt Relief Plan. Those will be covered in a future webinar because we are still waiting on the regulations that are going to be put in place to take care of that program. So we would encourage you to stay connected to the Chamber and understand what.
End of final message.
Now, I'm going to now hand over the presentation to the President of the Indo-American Chamber of Commerce, Tarush Anand, who is an attorney by profession. He is a partner at the law firm of Brown Sims, where he practices civil litigation. He has represented a broad range of domestic and international businesses in various types of business disputes across the country. He has received several awards and honors over the years, including an AV preeminent rating from Martindale-Hubbell and selection to the Texas Super Lawyers Rising Stars list for several years. Ladies and gentlemen, before Tarush comes on, I want to mention that we will request that all questions be held back till the end of Nasser Khan's presentation. We will be asking you to type in the questions at the end of the program. With that, I now hand over to the President of the Indo-American Chamber and the Chairman of our board, Tarush Anand.
Thank you, Jagdeep. This is Tarush Anand. It's my honor to be here as the President of the Chamber of Commerce for this year and next year. Thank you for joining us. We have, I can see a very good attendance for this event. So I can see it's an event that clearly is something that our members need. And that was how this whole series started up. Is 2 weeks ago, we had event works, traditional in-person events, which we had to decide to cancel. This is before we were forced to cancel events, but looking forward, we saw that in-person events probably weren't the best idea. And so we pulled the plug on a few events that were already announced and put a pause on events that were in the works that were about to be announced. And so then we had a decision to make. Do we shelter in place ourselves and focus on just taking care of our families and our businesses, or do we attend to the needs that clearly our members have in these times on dealing with the situation? And if you know the chamber, you know that we chose the latter, and that's what we've done here. And so in the short term, while people are by and large stuck in their homes, we have put together a series of webinars to help you face what we think are the short-term needs of the business community in the current challenges. We have employment law webinar addressing a lot of the key questions employers have on how to deal with your employees. Today deals with SBA loans. The seminar we have next week deals with the CARES Act. And we're thinking of other webinars of that nature as well to address very targeted issues that come up in this current situation. More long-term, we're thinking of other ways to keep people engaged and provide value to our members, depending on how long this goes out. But that's where the entire idea came about. If you have other ideas on events you'd like to see, please share them with us. We'd love to hear them. But we are fairly new to webinars as well, so we will try our best to put this together as smoothly as possible. If there are any kinks along the way, please do forgive us. On the question and answers, all of you have an option at the bottom of your app to type in questions. So there's a Q&A section. And so as the event is going on, if you have a question, click that, type in your question, and that gets sent over to the presenter, who will take questions at the end. There's also a way to like questions, much like social media. So if you have the same question as someone, go ahead and click like, and the more people that click like on it, it takes it up to the top of the screen, so it'll get attention quicker. So those are some of the logistics for today in case you're new to webinars. With that, let me turn over to introducing our speaker for today, Mr. Nasrullah Khan. As you know, he is the Executive Vice President and Chief Lending Officer at Wallace Bank. I think many of you are familiar with Wallace Bank, but it's a full-service community bank which is dedicated to serving everything from rural customers to large international clients. It's a bank that's been around a long time, having been established in 1906 in Wallace, Texas. And it's been, as a result of that age, it's been through the Great Depression and both World Wars, something few banks can say nowadays. In 2018, it was ranked 5th among the 25 best performing banks in the US with under $1 billion in assets. And it's a well-known community bank and a great member of the chamber. So with that, let me turn things over to our presenter, Mr. Nasrullah Khan.
Thank you, Tarosh and Jagdeep and Tarosh for such a nice introduction. And first of all, I would like to compliment Indo-American Chamber of Commerce to taking this initiative and setting up webinars. And I'm so much thankful for the Chamber for doing this, because you cannot even imagine for the last couple of days, I must have received thousands of emails and phone calls inquiring about this SBA disaster loan program and the Paycheck Protection Program and Small Business Debt Relief Program. So far, just for everyone, I can just tell you that Paycheck Protection Program and the Small Business Debt Relief Program, as Jagdeep said, we have so far not received any information from SBA directly. So this would we don't know till when it's going to come. So we just have to wait on that information. As it comes, I'll talk to Jagdeep, and maybe we can have a future webinar on that. For today's webinar, I'll just focus on economic injury disaster loans, which is also called EIDL. Can I have the slide, please? Yes, thank you. So this is an economic injury disaster loan program. First of all, I can also tell you this is a program which is an initiative directly by the SBA, and it's online. I'll give you a website or a link later on. The banks are not involved in this disaster loan program. Whereas on the Paycheck Protection Program and a small business debt relief program, which we understand the banks will be involved and they will be directly, disbursing the funds. Next slide, please. So the EIDL, I'll go with EIDL, short form for Economic Injury Disaster Loans. So the eligible businesses which will be, eligible to apply for the loans will be small businesses, agricultural cooperatives, and aquaculture businesses. The other one would be most private non-profit organizations. So that is one, and also includes business directly affected by the disaster and business offering services directly related to businesses in the declaration. Other businesses indirectly related to the industry that are likely to be harmed by losses or by losses in their community. So next slide, please. In order to apply for this program, I highly recommend that people should get themselves familiar or have somewhere written up the information. The applicant must have some kind of a credit history acceptable to the SBA. So the credit history means that if you have ever applied for SBA loans before, or have you ever applied for a disaster loan program before. So this is the information which you should have when and when. And the thing is, it may require, they may ask for a loan number or anything if you already have an existing loan, or previously if somebody have applied for Harvey loans, so they may ask for certain information, but that will not make it ineligible if you already had an SBA loans in the past. So eligibility is applicant must be physically located in the declared state and suffered working losses due to the coronavirus and not due to the downturn in the economy or other reasons. This is a little bit tricky. This is if people had or have difficulties in the past before the coronavirus, like if their financials were some losses in the past or in the beginning of the year. So do not think that applying for it, you may automatically qualify. But if you had directly suffered any kind of a losses for coronavirus situation or because of the economy downturn in this time, you may be eligible to apply. For this, you may discuss, if you have any questions, you should discuss with your accountant or your CPA. The repayment, SBA must determine that applicant business has the ability to repay the disaster loan. So this is a direct loan, which will be, I'll talk to you the terms and everything. So SBA will also determine if the situation goes fine, then later on, how would you be able to repay? So they will be looking some kind of a repayment source. So the eligible entities may qualify loans up to $2 million. The interest rate, next slide, please. So the eligible entities may qualify for loans up to $2 million. And interest rate is right now is 3.75 for small businesses and 2.75 for the nonprofit organizations. And the terms of these loans are for 30 years. Next slide, please. EIDLs may be used to pay the following. You have the fixed debts, which if you have prior loans or any fixed debts which are there, you can use this money to repay those fixed debts. You can incur the payroll if you have any, and accounts payable, and some other pending bills. So you can use this money to pay this EIDL loan, or when you get these loans. So these are the expenses which you can pay directly through these loans. Next slide, please. If this is a slide, I'm going to talk to you how to apply on the EIDL loans. So applicants may apply online using the electronic loan application via SBA secure website. The website is mentioned over there, so if people can make a note of that website, and if somebody has any difficulty on getting into the website or anything, I can offer you my direct email address. So if anyone have any issues or anything, feel free. They can email me, and they have been changing the links. So they are updating those links. So if anyone have an issue, you can email me at n.khan@wallacebank.com. I repeat one more time, n.khan@wallacebank.com. So there has been a link which was changed, but this is the latest link which I have put on my website. So you can go ahead and apply on that link. If you want to do a paper loan application, you can download this information. There's a website there. I can repeat it, www.sba.gov/disaster. So you can download the application, and you can forward this download application or mail this application to SBA address which is mentioned on that website. But I'll tell you one thing, it's my experience, and people, if you do it online, it will be faster and quick approval. But lately, if you send it by mail or anything, you don't know how long. And right now, which I've heard, a lot of offices are closed. The SBA is working from home. So you may not, maybe they may not even pick up the packages. The other thing which you can also do is disaster loan information may be obtained by calling the SBA's customer service, and the customer service phone number is 1-800-659-2955. You can also, I repeat it again, 1-800-659-2955. This is also for if somebody needs any assistance or they need to know what to be filled up, what the information they need, you can always call that number. And that number, I can guarantee you, it must be very, very busy number. Next slide, please. Documents needed when applying for EIDL. Okay, here you may need some help from your accountant or financial, because any information or data you submitted to the SBA office, you should make it a point that these will be verified by SBA maybe now or later. So make sure all your financials or information you're submitting, it's a verifiable information. So the first thing which they are requiring is statement of liabilities. That means any kind of a liabilities which you have pending, like if you have, for example, you have mortgage payments, you have any lease payments, you have accounts payable, anything, you just make sure discuss it with your accountant or your CPA and have that information ready, because you have to insert that information in the application. And monthly revenues for the last 2 years, they will be requiring the monthly revenues, how those monthly revenues are generated. Your accountant or your financial statements can tell you how much monthly revenues are there. And forecast for funds to keep the business afloat. So there is another thing is how much money would you be requiring to keep your business afloat? So that means you may have to project it, like, for example, like if you have done like $100,000 a month and you need to need minimum 100,000 to keep your business. So this is what you have to submit, but this will require some kind of a calculation. Now, the other important thing which I can tell you is 4506T form from IRS verification. The IRS will get it signed, your 4506. This is an IRS verification. That means whatever the tax returns you have submitted to IRS, SBA has the right to go check it out with IRS to make sure that you have filed and the information is correct. So this is a form which will be there when you go ahead. It will be required, and you can sign up, or that verification can be done on the application. And you may be needing an updated personal financial statement. The personal financial statement, if you are showing your income or revenues, or you're filing joint tax return, this is a tax return between you and your spouse. So if you're showing an income together, then your personal assets and everything has to be calculated according to that. And business financial statement for the last 2 years. So make sure you have some kind of a business financial statement for last 2 years, or if you have filed your tax return for 2018, so you keep your 2018 tax return handy, and then interim financial statement for 2019. So that is how they're going to determine that what could be your potential losses, like what could be your potential revenues for future. This is how the SBA disaster loan program will be calculated and the money which they can disburse. Next slide, please. There are other organizations can also can assist you in preparing or giving you some answers. So the main organization which SBA has asked to help and assist, and this is all free service. So this is SBDC Small Business Development Center. You can always Google it. There are several SBDC centers are in the Houston or Greater Houston area in the Fort Bend County. So you can contact any of those numbers. There are people, there is a helpline available, so you can contact them. And Jagdeep and Indo-American Chamber of Commerce knows all these organizations and the contact points, or we have a very good relationship Indo-American have with all these organizations. So if you need any help with these organizations, Jagdeep and myself can also help you where and how you can find these people. Women Business Center, this is another organization. It says Women Business Center is not only for women, but even the men can also call them. Veterans Business Outreach Centers, local chambers of commerce, that is how Indo-American Chamber of Commerce is helping. The Asian Chamber of Commerce is also doing the same thing. Or you can always connect with the SBA local offices, the local assistants there, but nobody there is in person. So I'll make it a point, because if you try to go in person, nobody is meeting anyone, but you can have it on a telephonic or teleconferencing, and even you can make some kind of a conference call to these individuals. Next slide, please. Here, I would say that recheck the filing requirements, submitting your application as soon as possible. That is like, they may run the money pretty quick. So I've been highly recommending everyone, they should apply it as soon as possible. The people had a biggest success of applying it after 7 p.m. or close to late hours at nighttime. They are being able to go on the link and fill, because during the daytime, what I understand, you'll go do 2-3 pages, and afterwards it calls for error codes because there are too many people logging in. So I've recommended people do it late hours at night or in the evening. So recheck the filing requirements to ensure that all the needed information is submitted. This is very important information. The biggest reason for delays in processing is due to the incomplete information, and if you have submitted an incomplete form. So make sure that your forms are very much complete. If more funds are needed, applicant can submit supporting document request for an increase. If less funds are needed, applicants can request a reduction of the loan amount. So there is a process there. You can log in. They give you this option whether you need extra money later on. You can always apply for it, because you have to understand the limit of this is up to 2 million. And this is how you will apply. If the applicant request is denied, the applicant will be given 6 months. They can go ahead in 6 months and ask for a reconsideration. Next slide, please. Yes. There is another option in this website which I forgot to mention. It gives you an immediate option at the end, asking you whether you need $10,000 immediately. So that option, you can opt for it, and you can use that money. And what I understand from the SBA office, that 10,000 can be forgiven a debt. So that is one of the options. You can always opt for it if you need an immediate fund up to $10,000. Here, I've collected some of the frequently asked questions over the past 1 week that people have been asking, and I've compiled this Q&A myself. But here at this time, as Anand said, like, if anybody has any questions, feel free to type up your questions so that I can cover those questions at the same time when I'm presenting this webinar. So the first question everybody have asked me, how long will it take to know if I'm approved for a loan? SBA is processing these loans as quick as they can on a case-by-case basis. but they have not given an option for $10,000 if you need it right away. So people who are needing $10,000, they can opt. And I heard within 72 hours or within 4 or 5 days, they should be able to wire the money. So keep your accounts open. They're going to wire the money to your bank account. They ask for the information where this money can be sent to. The other thing, does the SBA have any grants available to small businesses? The other thing is these are assistance federal low interest loans. So disaster loan is not a grant, is a loan for 30 years at 3.75%. So that money has to be repaid. And what I understand, there is a deferment period of up to 1 year. The other question is, does SBA require collateral? Here it is up to $25,000. The SBA does not require any collateral, but anything above $25,000, they may pledge any available collateral. That means whatever they have, if your business have anything, they may file UCC or take liens on your existing collateral on that. Next slide, please. Can SBA refinance my loans or mortgages? SBA Economic Injury Disaster Loan Programs cannot refinance your existing debt. If anybody is looking to refinance the existing debt due to hardship, for the other way is if people have some kind of a balloon or repayment, SBA has other programs which you can contact any of your banks or you can contact your preferred SBA lenders and you can still do the SBA 7A loan programs that or a 504 that allows you to refinance your existing debt in the long term. So the other question is, I have an existing SBA disaster loan from a previous disaster. What are my options? You see, the SBA does not prohibit anybody had like loans in Harvey or before any kind of a disaster. So you can still apply for this loan. It will not hamper any of your existing loan which you're applying for it. Next slide, please. So what is the SBA's EIDL process? Okay, the EIDL process, there is a 3-step loan application. There is one, apply for a loan. So you go ahead to the SBA and click on the SBA, apply for the assistance. And I would not go through it, but it goes through it. If you go through those website, which I mentioned it, it goes very, very smoothly. And we did some, we did some kind of a process within the bank also. We did a dummy check and it goes pretty quick, very smoothly. If somebody, as I explained, if you have those documents, financial, it is not difficult to do that website. But it's just a matter of if it is not that loaded up. Next slide, please. So who can apply for it, or how does the workforce to deal with this and those affected? Obviously you have to understand the whole United States, all the 50 states have been impacted with this. So everybody is applying for this loan. They are very busy, but they are trying their best to make sure that people are able, at least they can get $10,000 for the businesses. They are expediting that process. And they will, what I understand, they will probably disperse it and then they will look into the other options. So as far as I'm concerned, you have to apply that loan as quick as possible. And you can also do with the collective resources, resource partners if you need it to get some more information. Next slide, please. Why are only loans available and not grants? A loan won't help a small businesses stay afloat for an extended period of time with no customers. This has been frequently asked, what are the grants? They are coming up with a process with the Paycheck Protection Program, which I understand that will be about 2.5 times of the salary, but I still have to get those details. And even the first person, I think, Jagdeep, will, once this program comes in or we have some directives from the SBA, this is sort of a forgiveness of debt on your on the pay. But I don't want to say anything because we have not yet seen any directives from SBA yet. But that could be a forgiven debt. But most of these loans are considered as a long-term loans, which is like a 30 years to repay with a very, very low interest rate. Next slide, please. How much money is SBA able to allocate for financial assistance for small businesses and non-profit? Is there a state limit? SBA do not have a state limit. It's a national limit of $2 million. And they would drive, once they get your financial and everything, they are the one who's going to figure it out. How much money do you need to keep your business afloat? So that is an in-house process. They're going to do their evaluations. Next slide, please. Since the Federal Reserve lowered its target from federal funds rate to nearly zero recently, why is that the SBA and idle rate is 3.75%? Aren't these direct loans from SBA? What entity is making the 3.75? Is it possible the interest rate will be lowered soon? So this is a very good question. I give A plus, like Mark Winchester had we had a radio show, and Mark was given A plus to everyone, and I'll give an A plus for this one, whoever asked that question. The answer which I found out from the SBA of a disaster loan rates are statutory formula that is calculated quarterly and based on the Treasury Department's rates. The interest rates are currently set at 3.75. So this is set up by the Treasury. So the banks or the SBA do not have much control over it. Next slide, please. Why the social distancing recommendation closures? How will SBA's disaster team help small business owners get their loan application in and processed? So the way is because of the social distancing, none of the SBA offices are open, but they are answering. So the phone you can always call is 1-800-659-2955, or you can have a virtual or online. They are doing several webinars, several seminars, and I think Jagdeep is also forwarding so much information, different seminars and different. And I'll tell you, if you have any question, feel free to contact your bankers, or you can always feel free to contact Wallace Bank, and we can provide you as much information as we receive on these different programs. Next slide, please. How does a business define an impact or loss for this? Is there a percentage dollar amount? Another good question somebody raised. A business needs to define its loss in comparison to 2019 operation and financial. Losses will be compared to the effective incident period starting 1/31/2020. Just a loss needs to be reported. There is no threshold of percentage or dollar amount. So this is a clear, straightforward answer to it. Next slide, please. For an economic injury loan, what are the business obligation and what is looked at for underwriting? Here, the three things which we have talked about it: eligibility, satisfactory credit, and repayment ability. These are the three things which SBA will be looking for to make these loans eligible. Next slide, please. What is a business to do if it doesn't qualify for an economic injury disaster loan? What are the banks doing to help to? You still have the option to go to the SBA lender and get direct loans or SBA loans to keep your company afloat. These are the other options. And what are the some things business can do to prepare or stay afloat? Are you seeing any innovation, creative strategies? You know, the the thing which I have not covered on it, the other lot of banks in the area, they are also doing deferments on their conventional loans and also on the SBA loans. So I would highly recommend the people who are unable to pay any loans or in this situation, they should contact their local banks and ask for deferments. Some banks may do 1 month, 2 months, or 3 months. So it all depends on your relationship with the banker or with the banks. And I don't think there is any harm for anybody to ask for deferments at this time. So that will also help you get some cash flow. And there are some banks which are also doing bridge loans under SBS Express program, but those loans, they are limiting up to $25,000. So if anybody needs up to that, feel free. Our bank is also doing it, but SBA Express loan, the SBA is only authorizing to do the bridge loans to the existing customers of the bank. So if you're a existing customer of Wallace Bank, we don't mind doing that 25,000 bridge loan, but you should be able to contact your own respective banks for that. Next slide, please. If a business currently has an SBA backed loan and it fears it will not be able to make the payments, what course of action should it take? Borrow home and business disaster loans from previous disasters that are still being paid back and will now have their payment deferred through the end of 2020. The SBA has allowed the banks to defer up to 3 months if this loan has not been sold in the second market, or 6 months if it is, we can do deferment of 6 months for the loans which has not been sold in the second market, I corrected, and 3 months for the loans which is sold in the second market. So, but we have the options to do regular deferments on SBA loan. But if somebody has a conventional loan, they can also go to the banks and ask for some kind of a deferment, and ask for some other loans which the banks can offer to keep them afloat. Next slide, please. Is SBA offering other types of assistance beyond financial help? Yes. It has more than 65 years. SBA is offering ongoing assistance for small business across the country and how to expand. So the assistance program is still there. After this situation happens, they will come back and do several seminars and webinars how to assist and grow the businesses. And you can always go ahead and look at SBA website and sba.gov. That's the website for SBA, and you can check different seminars they are also offering through local district offices. Next slide, please. Where should a small business go to find additional resource? I've discussed with those. You can have one option is to sba.gov coronavirus, then following SBA on the Twitter at SBA gov, and you can subscribe to the district newsletters, which is sba.gov and /updates. So they keep on giving updates on different programs. So here, this is the end of my presentation. Sorry, it took a little long, but I know I've compiled all these Q&A, and I said this will be a best way, like if people have questions. So these were the questions they were answered. So Jagdeep, I'll hand over this mic, or and you want to go ahead and take some questions at this time?
Thank you, Nasir Bhai, for this excellent presentation. I think it'll be more appropriate for you to take the questions, because all the questions.
But I have not seen it on the slide. Any questions being typed?
No. If you click on the question and answer at the bottom of your screen, if you click there, you can see the questions, and then you can decide which ones you want to answer. While you are looking at them, I just want to thank you and Wallace State Bank, and let all the listeners know that Wallace State Bank is one of the several banks that are members of the chamber that support the SBA program, but they have been in the forefront in the SBA lending, and we really appreciate Nasir Khan, who is one of the top experts in SBA lending in the banking community, and that is why we requested him to make the time for this presentation. I would also recommend, if your question is not answered, Nasir Bhai gave you his email address. Send an email to him and copy in info@iaccgh.com, and I'm sure if it's a question that he feels it's appropriate for him to answer, he will respond to you. Now, every one of you on the call right now, several of you had said you had not received the sign-in link, so I texted it to them when they called my cell phone. I would suggest that if you had not received the sign-in link from the email in the morning, please email info@iaccgh.com so we have captured you in our database, because then we can send you the information on the next event. I would recommend visiting iaccgh.com, because the next upcoming event is next Tuesday, I will be talking about it at the end of the program, but I was using this time to give Nasir Bhai some time to look at the questions. And now I'm handing the mic back to Nasir Bhai. Nasir Bhai, it's yours. I'll come back at the end to make some closing remarks. And I'm going to put it on mute till then. Nasir Bhai? Hello? Nasir Bhai, can you hear me? Just give us a couple of minutes till I reconnect with Nasir Bhai. Hello?
Call from Kilo Privilege.
Hello.
Nasir Bhai, it's your call now.
Yeah, can I take a message? He's in a seminar right now. Maybe tomorrow morning. Yeah.
Just a few seconds. Have you unmuted Nasir Bhai? Unmute him, please. Nasir Bhai, Mr. Nasrullah Khan, can you hear me? There seems to be a slight technical issue. Mr. Khan cannot hear us. So, Bhavna, in the meanwhile, can you show the
Hello,
last
sorry,
slide?
Jagdeep, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Jagdeep?
I can now. It's back to you, Nasir Bhai. It's
Okay, thank you.
You tell me when you finish and then I'll come back.
Okay,
I'm muting
great.
myself now.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, the first question is if we are, sorry for the technical difficulty. As it said, we are still still an infant on this webinar, so bear with us and apologize for that short interruption. The first question somebody raised was, if we apply for IDLE, are we still allowed to apply for PPP? You see, I'm still waiting for directives, but I'm telling people go ahead and apply for IDLE, and you can come back and apply for PPP. And then once that loan is approved, then you can figure it out which one is better. But IDLE is giving $10,000 immediately, so it's which I understand it's a forgiven. The SB is forgiving that $10,000, but this is what I have collected. So you can apply for the both loans at the same time, and that is an option SBA has given. The other question, which Mark Winchester also in our radio show did that, do we have to be U.S. citizen or green card holder? You know, on the SBA disaster loan program, I checked with the SBA office. They said, go ahead and apply it and give us their status, and they would look at how much is the employment, how much what is the employment you are creating, what is the business you are holding. So SBA can make some exceptions on that. Does the 10,000, the next question, does the 10,000 emergency advance also depend on the same eligibility criteria for IDLE loan? You see, this is the program which is under IDLE loan. So this is not a separate 10,000. So you apply it, they give you an option to collect $10,000 immediately for their business. So this is not a separate program. The other thing is there a loan forgiveness in idle? What I understand is the loan forgiveness is only up to $10,000. Other than that, all has to be repaid within a period of 30 years. The question the raised it, I think it is another repetitive question. When can we have a follow-up webinar or PPP? This all depends on Jagdeep's availability, and I think Indo-American will post that information. And PPP, we are still waiting all the directives from the SBA office. So once we get that, we will be happy to share that information with you. Another good question is there a dollar amount for under idle below which there is no personal guarantees required? You see, the thing is, idle program is up to $2 million, and they are asking for your personal information also. So you and in my opinion, most of these are guaranteed loan programs. So you can check up. I can get you that information to Jagdeep later on how much personal guarantees are involved in it. The question is one more question. Somebody just raised it. Let me go ahead. They keep on people are keep on asking the same question. If we apply for idle, are we still allowed to apply for PPP? I think we already answered those questions. Let me pick up any. Those are different. How far can you? There is one question somebody asked is here. I have a rental property and will not know the economic impact for at least a month until seeing how well my tenants are paying. Should I wait till apply? You can always wait and apply for it, but it also depends on whether the availability of funds. But this program is for a little bit longer time, so you can apply it later on once you know the situations for shopping centers or other things. If you do not know there is an impact right now, so I would say just wait until you have an impact. You can apply and just see what it happens. The one more question I can read you about an existing business in the beginning of March, and now I have no revenue. How do I provide historical information by entity in brand? If you do not have historical information, you can input the information you have or the potential loss you are making. So they will also see it is unfortunate that you got the business in March and it certainly went under, but you can always say this was the revenues which you anticipated generating, and you may submit that information on the idle loans. How much minimum credit score is needed for the SBA? This is strictly on the SBA side because they are basing more rather than personal credit score. They are looking at how to sustain the business and the employment. So they may come up with a lower credit score. So that is up to the SBA office how they are checking up the credit score. I do not have any information on that. One more question is, as oil prices fall in geopolitical reason, whether oil and gas company will be qualified for SBA loans. This is a very interesting. I know this is two things that are happening at same time, but the loan, this is there. You have to show that this is due to the COVID disaster. You cannot, as I told you in my presentation, you cannot go back and because of the industry or because of your business have lost, you may not qualify under this program. It is directly connected to the COVID-19 disaster. The question somebody asked is, can we download the slides? The slide, my presentation is with the Indo-American Chamber of Commerce. So whoever needs that information, please go ahead and ask. Indo-American will be happy to share that information to you. But in case if you needed the information on this slide, you can email me. Again, I'll give you my email address is n.khan@wallacebank.com. It's n.khan@wallacebank.com. One more time, the same question people are asking about the idle and PPP. How do we apply for CARES? It is asking for same forms and CARES have not yet come out, so I don't know any forms yet. And then online form is asking to fill out gross revenue for last 12 months and cost of goods sold of 12. How important is this to have them decide of an approval in order to release the immediate assistance? You see, if you fill up that application, it gives you an option whether you need a $10,000 immediate, you click on that option. So do not worry, you can fill up that information, you can go with that option for $10,000 for immediate disbursement. And somebody said we are trying to log into our account after submitting IDLE, but it is not showing any place to log in. It could be a glitch, but you can go ahead and keep on trying it, because maybe at that time that lines were busy, or that link must be busy. So if I've already had an SBA loan, can I convert it to IDLE? You see, this loan is not for refinancing debt. So this is only for your potential loss. So as I mentioned it on my presentation, this is not refinancing your existing debt. One question, what if mine is a DBA, can I still apply? Yes, if you have a DBA, sole proprietorship corporation, anybody can apply on this one. One more question, what is the role of a board members in the applicant process, non-profits? Can we show board members assets for collateral? This is a good question. Depends if how your company has been structured for non-profit. So if they are asking for the names of the board members, just go ahead and give the board members on it. Let me pick up any question which is very much pertinent for everybody. Jagdeep, if you want to take over, because I think most of these questions are kept on repeating the same questions all this time. So I'll be very happy. That has been end of my presentation. And if Anand or Jagdeep, if you want to take over from now, or if I'm available to take any more questions from you, so because all these questions which are come. Because most of these questions are people are asking repeatedly the same question, which is there on the webinar,
So I'll take over from now. Can you hear me, Nasir bhai?
I can hear you very well.
So if you can hear me, then everybody can hear me. So there are a couple of statements I'd like to make. And I'd also like to request Bhavna to bring up the slide with the next event coming up. So my first comment is, I do keep getting daily updates from various agencies and various chambers and other organizations. We have decided not to send out daily e-blasts to our members and the community. But if any of you are interested in daily updates, my direct email address is Jagdeep, which is spelled Jagdip, J for Japan, A for Apple, G for George, D for David, I for India, P for Peter, Jagdeep @iaccgh.com, and you can copy an info at iaccgh.com, because as Nasir bhai explained, the programs are being developed as we speak. The EIDL program seems to be nearly ready, so he was in a position to answer most of your questions, but the other programs, the PPP and the SBA debt relief program, are still being formulated. And as we keep getting information, we were planning to hold back and send the information out maybe once a week or twice a week. But if any of the people on the webinar today would like me to forward any daily update that I get, send me and info@ISCCGH an email, and we will start putting you in a separate group and sending you daily updates. I really want to ask every one of you to join me in thanking Mr. Nasrullah Khan and Wallace State Bank for making the time not only to make the presentation today, but he also joined the Deputy Director of the SBA on Open Forum, an Indo-American talk show which airs every Saturday and once a month. They have what they call the ISCCGH Business Hour. And this month, because of the situation, we had invited the SBA to make a presentation, and Nasir bhai also called in that evening. to answer some of the people's questions and give his comments. I am drawing everybody's attention to the screen. The next presentation, which is next Tuesday at the same time, April the 7th, will have two CPAs, Swapan Dhairyawan, who's our immediate past president, and Mahesh Desai, and they will be talking about the CARES Act and the tax stimulus package. And the topics will include paid sick leave and tax credits for small and mid-sized businesses, the tax stimulus package, dealing with your taxes during the present pandemic. So you do need to register for that event again. So if you go to the website, it will be up and running by tomorrow. We didn't want to have two of them together. So if you go tomorrow to the website, you can sign up for that, or you can email info@isccgh to make sure you're on the email list. As Nasir Bhai said, we will be doing other programs focused on the PPP and the SBA debt relief program, because the chamber was created 21 years ago to serve the community. And this is one time in our history when we want to make sure that we are serving the community to our fullest extent, because we all need the help at this time, and we are here to help. We have 21 years of relationships in the community. And as Nasir Bhai said, if there's any information you would like us to reach out to our contacts in the different resource partners, we would be happy to do that, because we want to see that every one of our local small businesses emerge healthy from this disaster. It is a disaster, but we as Americans are known how to come out of it stronger than before. With that, I want to thank Nasir Bhai and ask him if he has any final comments to make.
The only thing, Jagdeep, I'll say, this is the greatest country on earth. You know, we should have confidence in our leadership, the way they are supporting it. Honestly, we are privileged to be living in this country and be a part of this country, because you can see the stimulus plan. You should salute all the medical staff. You should salute the police. You should salute all the people who are assisting us to fight this. I know people are doing it all over the world, but the advantage which we have to support the business and all, I don't think this is available in other part of the world. But I salute this country. I'm proud to be an American, and there is no other word to be saying that we should all say we are the proud citizen of United States of America, and also salute Jagdeep and his team for a wonderful job they are doing with the Indo-American Chamber of Commerce. This is benefiting everyone. We are taking our time and trying our best so that we can, whatever the information we are getting we can forward it to all of our members, or not even members, to anybody who would like to benefit out of this situation, like to benefit so that we can put people back to work. This is what we are.
Nasir Bhai, may I interrupt a minute?
Yes.
There is a message from Chetan Mehta who says there is a link on SBA website to apply directly for the emergency grant of 10,000 without having to submit the full EIDL application. I did apply and it accepted my application. There was another question from somebody who texted me saying, please request an answer to my question. Are independent contractors covered? So if you have some time...
No, independent contractors are covered under this program.
So my request is, Nasir Bhai, if you have a few more minutes, if you could scroll down the questions, since we have people logged in who have sent a bunch of questions that have not been answered, and a lot of others may be interested in them. Do you have a few more minutes?
Yeah,
I know we're at...
minute bit. We were thinking of cutting it off at 3 o'clock. So that
I know, but if you have a few more minutes, if you could just go down the list of questions and see if any are relevant to the whole group.
Let me go ahead and... Yeah. If you also look for any other questions which you think we did not cover, because yes, somebody said, how is bankruptcy viewed in this situation like this? Bankruptcies depends on when did you file for bankruptcy and everything, and SBA will make some exceptions for this emergency loan program. And the one which when somebody just said that they can log into an SBA website for a $10,000 grant money or 10,000 loan, SBA is keep on updating the website. So if anybody wants to go sba.gov, they are updating different programs right now. So we have our back office, which they are also looking at it. So this is a very good information. Somebody asked for it. Then they say, if I have more than 4 corporations, should I separately for all corporation? I have 4 investment commercial properties in Dallas area. You can use a different tax ID to apply for it, but in ideal program also they look at the affiliation affiliation rule on it. But that affiliation rule will not apply for a paycheck protection program. That much I'm sure about it. I have a customer who wanted to apply for EIDL. What if they don't have an acceptable credit score? This is like we have already asked that. Is the interest?
So, Nasir bhai, one question that's popping up is for 501c3 charities. So the question is the temple eligible? I believe it is. But the real question I'd like you to ask
is the SBA has a prohibition on any political and religious thing, which I think we can get that thing clarified. So
what is the role of board members? What is the role of board members in the application process for a charity? Can we show board members assets for collateral? How would that work?
But
so this would need clarification from SBA. I think
I cannot answer this on their behalf, how they are looking for 501Cs, But I know they have put it that this will also be SBA eligible, because some of the ineligible things are like any kind of religious, political, affiliated, they may not consider it. So that is also, you may have to check that one up.
And that is why I had mentioned. That is why I had mentioned that we keep getting daily updates from the SB and other agencies. So anybody who feels their questions have not been answered can email both Jagdeep at ISCCGH and info at ISCCGH. I'll add you to my daily update, and I'll also see if we can create a list of unanswered questions that we can forward to the SBA. I know they are overwhelmed right now. They may not have the time to answer, but if you log on to one of their webinars, because they are doing 2 or 3 webinars every day for the next few days, so you may find the answer there. In fact, Congressman Al Green is doing a webinar tomorrow, and anybody who's interested in information on that, you can email me at jagdeep@isccgh.com, and I will forward you the link to register for that webinar, because he's a congressman. He may have a later update than we did today. It's a dynamic situation. Everything keeps changing every day. So we are here to try to give you as much of the information we have. We don't want to mislead you. That's why Mr. Khan is being very, very cautious on what he shares, because he only wants to share what has been confirmed with till now. So Nasir bhai, with that, any final comments before we wrap up?
Oh, we are here, and once again, like if you're doing it for Jagdeep, I can give you my email address one more time. If anybody has any personal or any question which do not want to share with the group, feel free to email me. My email address is n.khan@wallacebank.com. I can repeat it, N like Nancy, period, KHAN @Wallace, WALLIS bank.com. So I'll be very happy to respond. I know I'm getting numerous calls and several emails, but just be patient, and I will make sure that I would get you the answer if I don't know any answers to any question. Jagdeep, I always thank you. You're like my brother, and if there is anything I can help for the chamber and for the members and anybody community at large, I'm here for you guys at this time.
I would recommend to all the listeners to copy Mr. Khan in for any questions you're sending us. You don't have to question him for the update. Copy him in for the updates, because I don't want to overwhelm his email box with unnecessary emails. So send me the request for updates. But any questions that you're sending our way, you can send. Remember to copy in Mr. Khan at the email address he gave you. Please look at the screen one last time before we close down the webinar. I believe this next event will be equally important. Again, join me in thanking Mr. Nasrullah Khan of Wallace State Bank and Wallace State Bank for their great service to the community. If any of you have any comments about this webinar, you can email me at jagdeep@isccgh.com. If there are any topics you think we should be covering, email us. We will see what we can do. We can't promise to cover all the topics that come up, but we are planning to do at least one webinar a week moving forward to cover all the changing needs of our community. With that, I wish you all the best. We are a tough nation. We are facing an unprecedented situation, but we will emerge strong from this. Bhavna, I am requesting you at this point to close the meeting. Join me in thanking Bhavna Kalyan, who has been running the meeting for us. She is the one who responds at isccgh.com. If any of you did not get the email with the link today, please email her and copy me in so that we make sure that next time we are on our mailing list. With that, I want to thank Tarush Anand and all the volunteers who serve on the board of the Indo-American Chamber of Commerce, who collectively came up with the idea of these events. And we hope that we will stay connected. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.